Rising oil and commodities prices may be an indication the world is finally lifting out of its deepest economic slump since the Great Depression. But when the economic recovery arrives, could the U.S. already be behind Europe and China when it comes to creating green jobs? Clean Sky's Dan Goldstein is here with us, just talking about who is making this claim, Dan.
Well, it's interesting. It's actually coming from a big player in the renewable sector, none other than General Electric. And it came today from Bob Prantl. He is their North Region executive for GE Energy, and he made those comments today at a business summit, a green business summit here in Washington, D.C. Now, keep in mind, GE is a huge company, and they are a huge player in wind energy, especially green energy. They, in fact, make more revenue, according to Prantl, from their wind turbine business than in their gas turbine business. They are looking at two scenarios. This is something that they're looking at internally. They call one of them rapid green and the other slow brown. Now, rapid green, as you can imagine, is what might happen to the world economy if there's a cap and trade plan in place in the United States and if there is an international agreement in Copenhagen. The other one, as you can imagine, slow brown. No cap and trade agreement, no deal in Copenhagen, and that is what they are looking at to plan their investments. Now, Prantl would not go on camera, but he did talk at length about U.S. climate change legislation, specifically Kerry Boxer, which he said does not do enough to mandate renewable energy. Putting a price on carbon, according to him, was not enough, and he said that as a result, GE could look outside the United States for wind turbine manufacturing facilities, including China and Europe, if they don't get the legislation they like. Now, keep in mind, Susan, Waxman-Markey and Kerry Boxer both have renewable energy standards, or RES, up to 25% by 2030. But, and there's a big but, much of this can be made up through energy efficiency, and GE says that is not enough, and they need new incentives for renewable energy. Now, while GE would not go on camera, BP Solar, talked with a gentleman from BP Solar up in Frederick, Maryland, they would, and they said they are depending on these renewable mandates as well, and according to one of their executives who I talked to, they want to see more help on that side too.
The cap and trade mechanism is one that over the long term is going to be probably the important mechanism. I think in the short term, though, we need other programs, including RPS standards, that really create more near-term market growth. Because essentially, when you do the economics, at least for solar, the value of carbon that's going to be created under cap and trade isn't sufficient to create positive investment climate for solar.
Now, it's not just solar, Susan, that's worried about what they see as the lack of renewable incentives. Nuclear is too, and nuclear, of course, is fighting very hard to keep itself being thought of as a renewable, and that's something they're going to go to Copenhagen and talk a lot about. But they are hearing pressures from their own companies who worry that the growth in nuclear power that they need here in the United States, or that's been foreseen at least in the United States, may not come here at all, and that could come in China and Europe.
If we don't act, we certainly could get left behind. There's a lot of momentum here in the States. Both Areva, Westinghouse, GE, all of them have been heavily investing here. But certainly it would help if they're betting on the come. And if we were able to continue our build cycle and push forward, it would give them a reason to invest more here rather than source more globally. So definitely there is some pressure probably to go abroad, but right now they're holding firm and we need to help them do that.
Now, and Susan, don't think that GE, this is just a threat from GE. Vestas Wind Systems, they are the biggest producers of wind turbines. They have 4 Colorado plants, but they are slowing down expansion plans because of the investment climate and generally the demand climate here in the United States. They put $1 billion into 4 plants in Colorado. They're producing those blades in Windsor right now. They're going to expand to Pueblo, Colorado, but those plans are on hold, and they're putting $350 million into a plant in China, and there are 2,500 jobs, Susan, 2,500 jobs at stake here in the United States with Vestas. They blame, of course, tough credit situation, which obviously is affecting all the markets across the world, but they are saying that government here at least has to spur demand with tougher renewable standards and not just putting a price on carbon, Susan.
All right, Dan Goldstein, thanks for that report.